Good morning, people. Welcome to my channel. Let us now get deep dive into the psychological aspects and the astrological aspects. So get some coffee, tea, and let's get started. This begins, I think this is the 11th sheet. I've already covered previous 10, which are sort of the beginning points, and the download links to my Google Drive of these worksheets are in the description box. Everything is in the description box. You can go through it. Okay, let's get started. This is called primary interest motivations, as you can see right there on the top. This worksheet has about 50 questions if you scroll down, right? And these 50 questions will narrow down sort of your propensity of what are your primary motivations, okay? These are simple everyday questions, but it will help you understand the 4 drivers that we have in terms of your primary interest or an individual's primary interest. It may be the child you are teaching, you might be a parent, you might be a child psychologist, a counselor, whatever, right? If you want to understand the human being better of what their motivating drivers are in terms of people or activity or a place or a thing. Now, what are these? Let us go through the pie chart. You can answer these questions. These are everyday questions. Something like question number 2 is, what type of conversation do you enjoy the most? Talking about relationships and experience with others, discussing activities and plans, sharing travel stories or discussing places you have been, or describing and learning about interesting objects or technologies. You see where this is coming from. So there are primary motivators. We are either drawn to people or to place or to an activity or to a thing. And these have astrological implications. But first let's see what the drivers mean. People with the primary people preference as primary interest sort, you would be outgoing and friendly and do well in all people-oriented jobs, or even do well in relationships with respect to people. Your focus would be relationships and relating. So in terms of planets and in terms of zodiac signs, I would put it as Jupiter, Sun and Moon. So therefore Leo, Cancer, Pisces, Sagittarius, or these planets in these respective houses. Let's say Jupiter is in the house of Leo or in the sign of Cancer, or Sun is in the Sagittarius or Pisces, or Jupiter is in the house of Leo, or Moon is in the house of Pisces or Sagittarius, etc., etc. You can have exchange of houses also, astrologically speaking. Yes, it can be either ways. You just have to see which way your chart is playing out in the natal chart. Yep. So after you take this test, you can figure out the percentage of what is the dominant aspect of your personality. And remember, all of us have all 4. There's nobody with just one aspect only in life. That's not the way it works. We have the balance of different kind of energies within us. So you're talking basically about proportions here rather than black and white. Okay, shades of gray. So people are outgoing, friendly and do well with people because their focus is on people only. Okay, you'll get that result once you finish these 50 questions. Place. People with place as the primary interest sort, you would have a strong awareness of your location. Where are you physically located? Your city, your town, your lane, wherever you're functioning from. Certain places would be important to you. Or even places like going to the mall or a museum or an institution. That kind of place also. Where you did or were going to do something would be a key factor in your decisions. Like you would be affected by places, right? If Mercury is strong in your chart, right, or placed with Sun or any of these other ones, you will look at people differently. I'm combining these two. You will look at people differently if people and place is the dominance. The same person you would look differently in a museum versus in a mall. You see what I'm saying? But the dominant player in place is Mercury. Mercury has an earth element to it, not very well considered or thought of, but actually Mercury is very place oriented. Mercury stands for nature, Mercury stands for forests, trees, Mercury stands for little kids. That's why little kids are very influenced by where they are in a place. They're different at home, different in the playground, different everywhere. You're changing the place, so the child's behavior changes. Look at where the Mercury is placed in your chart. And if you're, after answering all of these questions, you have a dominant percentage of place, you're a very strong Mercurial person. Your intellect, because Mercury is also intellect, is being influenced by the place you have been in. You might find yourself acting differently in different setup, physical places. Like I said, mall, museum, house, playground, school, office, etc. The third one is a thing preference. Preference for things, inanimate objects. Or it can also mean sort of a very objectivity kind of mind. You're interested in ideas, abstract things. It might be even ideological or it might be even physical, but this refers to as things. If this is your primary interest focus, this means you would direct your attention to having, owning, or collecting some things. Now, in this context, things might even mean ideas, by the way, which we shall see in the later stages when I upload the dating. I have made primary motivators even in terms of a dating, but that will come next. So subscribe if you wish, if you're interested in what interests your partner, because there has to be a different set of questions. Basically, you are talking about having, owning things or owning beliefs, owning ideas, concepts, that kind of a thing. Abstraction. Thing is basically an abstraction. Which planets or points are we talking about? We are talking about either the north node or south node of the moon, Rahu or Ketu, and Saturn, or in each other's houses, Saturn in Aries, for example, or Scorpio, or Saturn in Rahu-driven Aquarius, right? So you would have more of a thing preference, because these three guys, they have no personality of their own. They tend to imitate whatever they are going for. They are very thing-driven personalities. They don't have much of emotion content. They just are great imitators of things. And they are interested in abstract things. Saturn in the house of Cancer, for example, he'll be very good. Saturn in Cancer will make a person very good in understanding people in terms of their emotional bent of mind. You're talking conceptual level. Saturn in Leo will make them good conceptual thinkers in terms of leadership. Or Saturn in Sagittarius will make them think in terms of rules, religions, law, and so on and so forth. I'm just combining the two for you to get a clearer picture. Actually, Ketu, Rahu, and Saturn are more thing-oriented planets. Meanwhile, Jupiter, Sun, and Moon are more people-oriented. Okay? Think of it this way. Next one, the last one, is activity, which is pretty obvious. You're interested more in activities. You focus on what you do or what others do. This type would typically like to be active, going out and going about doing things, activity-oriented. Now, in planetary terms, it might mean two of them, Venus and Mars, and therefore zodiac signs of or exchange of houses. Venus is to do with resources, getting everything done, or Libra in terms of partnerships and activity that you do, including sexual behavior. Mars has everything to do with setting targets and accomplishing them. So you see how the Venus, Mars are the more activity-dominated planets. And houses, Taurus, Libra, Scorpio, and Aries. These are activity dominated. They can't sit still. They have to move. They have to get something done. Okay? So we begin the deeper layer of uncovering the unconscious, subconscious, whatever you want to call it. The reason being, The more you get into these layers, you understand the subconscious mind, you understand house number 3, you understand house number 8 and 12. These are the subconscious, deeply hidden motivations that we all have. So that's the purpose of getting to these kind of understanding. Okay. Description box contains all the links. You can go ahead and download it and check it out for yourself. And leave your comments if you do find something. Take care. Be safe.